we deserved the qualifier because we worked really hard. We all really wanted it. We studied our opponents and we executed on the right day.
我希望能向那些喜欢我们的粉丝证明出我们自己的实力，不让他们失望。
The biggest threat to us in this tournament is just ourselves. If all the things align, I think we can take anybody.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Our first series is complete and our second is about to start. We've got Team Archon facing off against CDEC Gaming. North America meets China. It should be a very interesting matchup. We've got a new body joining our panel here, though, our NA expert as it is. Mott, how are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you for having me, and I'm very excited to see Archon. They got here through a pretty long road, and of course the qualifiers, beating Complexity out 3-0, but they're trying to prove that they are not the fourth best team in America. They're trying to be up there with the likes of EG, so we'll see if they can do that, obviously against the second place finishers at TI5. So
yeah, it should be a tough matchup, and we've talked about CDEC a little bit. They're one of two teams that have not played anything on record since TI5, and it's a big question mark. Will they come out as strong as they did in Seattle, or will they come out looking like, you know, they've got the play style from a now outdated patch? Marlene, I want to hear your thoughts about this matchup here. CDEC, we'll start with them. Do you think that they're going to come out of the gate strong, looking in full form as they did in Seattle?
At TI, they weren't versatile at all. I think that was their biggest weakness, but at the same time, they ran the one thing that they ran really, really well. So I see this going one of two ways. CDEC perfecting their strat even more, because I view this as 6.84 capital D, and or they actually might branch out. But I see the latter as more unlikely.
Okay, what do you think, Mel? Do you concur with Merlini's analysis here?
Yeah, somewhat. And then I also think that CDC is going to be a handful if Aggressive just plays remotely as good as he did at TI, because I think for me he was probably one of the top 3 standout players at that event, and that was the biggest tournament of all time. So for him to just deliver half that, I think Archon is in for quite a beating.
It'll be interesting to see if they mesh with this patch. One of the things that's so interesting about CDEC is how quickly they rose to popularity. They started as just an in-house team from LGD. They separated to be their own brand, and very quickly, I mean, did you guys expect them to do so well at TI? Was that a total, where did these guys come from as they started to trek through the group stage for you?
They beat Vici and IG, and I think they took LGD to 5 games before. So I was like, okay, these guys are pretty good, but I didn't expect them to make top 4. I would expect
go out on a limb and say no one expected them to go into the grand finals of TI, not even them.
That's fair enough.
I don't think they did.
I mean, what do you think, Mott? Are you more on the side that CDEC will come out looking strong, or do you think they may fall victim to the kind of TI curse, as we've been calling it?
No, I think they'll be absolutely fine. If they just have a good draft, I think they'll be in an okay position. I mean, really, like Milk was saying, Aggressive just has to have a good game, and I think if they rally around him, they'll be fine. I mean, there are some good players on Archon, 747 specifically, but, I mean, they're going to have to put in some work. They're going to have to get a really good draft. The crazy thing about Archon is they have some weird drafts, and if they go for that weird draft and it doesn't work out for them, I mean, they could be in for a rough time, so...
It's always a double-edged sword. Sometimes the crazy drafts catch your opponent off guard, and sometimes, well, they have a tendency to backfire. But let's talk about Archon a little bit. Now, this team has been very active. They've played a lot of games on this patch, second only to Vega, if I'm not mistaken, but it's been exclusively in the North American scene, known as one of the scenes that has slightly less competition. Simply put, Mott, do you think they're prepared for this challenge?
Well, I think they're as prepared as they can get in this situation, obviously. But, I mean, again, they're going up against a top-tier team here. They've played so many matches, not only against some of the best teams in North America, but I mean, they've been playing against Digital Chaos, they've been playing against Cloud9, so they've been playing against 3 of the top teams, or 2 of the top teams rather, in North America, and you know, they've looked good in those matches. They obviously looked really good in that series against Complexity where they 3-0'd them, but again, I mean, you know, we'll have to see how CDEC comes out and what they draft and what they pick, because they're just a juggernaut when they can be.
Yeah, well, and on the note of interesting picks, Archon, are their drafts too crazy perhaps, Merlini? Do you think they'll be able to match up well against CDEC? I mean, do you even give them a chance in this series, or do you think CDEC are just going to come out guns blazing?
If this were last year, which Fire I think was also here, I would have been like, okay, no way. I kind of wrote him off last year. I actually thought that last year would be the last time I would see Whitebeard at any tournament, but he's proven me wrong. He was at Red Bull Battlegrounds as well as this tournament.
He's here, man.
I remember asking Demon about it. He's like, hey, Whitebeard. That was his response. I was like, I know what that means, but I was a little too quick to dismiss the NA scene, and they're a lot better than I thought.
Okay, and Melk, last word?
I mean, it's China's best team, right? So I don't have high hopes for America's 4th best team.
That is a good way to put it, I'll be honest. And with that, our teams are ready for introduction. Coming into the arena now, we've got Team Archon facing off against Team CDEC. Walking out with confidence per usual here. I love the way this stage is set up, how teams can come out, eye their opponents a little bit, give them the stink eye, you're going down. The insults without talking. I like that. So here's the matchup, and now we can see that the roles. Who are the real key players here for Archon? Mott, who do we need to keep an eye out for to really perform to make this team happen?
I think it's their two new players, 747 and Moo. 747's been in the Dota scene for a long time, going back to Dota 1, playing on a team with Arteezy. So he's definitely a player to look out for. If he gets Templar Assassin, that's one of his best heroes, and he goes off on that hero. Moo has played offlane Slardar. He's done offlane Nature's Prophet recently. You never really know what they're going to grab for him. So those are definitely the two, I think, most interesting players. Then, of course, Jayo also, who plays a great Ember Spirit as well and has had a lot of success recently. So I think those three players in particular, the three cores coming out for Archon, are definitely going to be the players to watch.
Yeah, to me personally, it's definitely Jayo. He was the redeeming factor on Brave alongside DJ from Fnatic, so I expect great things coming out from him. I know he's as motivated as ever to just prove himself and, you know, just get that last step. He was so close to TI with Brave and then fell short ultimately, so definitely someone who will be looking to redeem himself.
Yeah, and on the side of CDEC, I remember at TI seeing a few tweets from PPD complimenting Q as kind of a mastermind, so to speak, and just his approach to the game. Again, do you guys kind of concur with that analysis? I'm really curious if CDEC was just hot on that patch. Was that just the perfect mix of their play style with what was strong on that patch, or have they really meshed as a team?
I'll say they actually, obviously they meshed as a team, and I do agree that Q was amazing in how he drafted as well, but they also sort of made the playstyle happen. Again, going back to aggressive, he sort of revitalized how you have to play this carry role. It's not just farming, it's also contributing and killing early on, and he more than anyone did that. So it's just like the entire team came together at the best possible time. Okay, so for you, aggressive is really that key player that needs to shine for CDEC to be successful.
I think it's personally Shiki. I think aggressive almost always has decent games, whereas Shiki, we saw him play really well on the Lina and the TA, and some of his other heroes were just like, Lesh in particular, Bloodseeker, that got decimated by Sumail. There are a lot of matchups that he just lost really hard.
And that was in a situation where his team was stacking for him, they were getting him good jungle camps, and then Sumail was getting ganked at the same time. I remember one game in particular in the grand finals where Sumail was getting destroyed and somehow still came back, as he always seems to do, and I think Shiki just couldn't handle it and couldn't handle that particular matchup in the grand finals, and I think that's one of the reasons why they went down to EG at TI5.
Yeah, and I will agree with something that you said earlier, Mott, that Fire's versatility, I think, could be one of their biggest strengths here. We saw in that first series, versatility is key in this kind of single limb format. Secret had a fairly standard draft game 1, didn't work. Game 2, they did something completely different, and even game 3 was sort of a happy mixture of both. We saw the Wind Ranger from game 1, and then a couple of other picks to make it work. And I think Fire could be a team to do a similar kind of drafting strategy if they have a difficult game 1.
And like you said, it's a double-edged sword, but also in this particular patch, when we don't really know what's strong, what's getting picked, and like we saw, like Necrophos came out last series, and Venomancer came out last series, we don't really know what Archon has up their sleeves. I mean, we've seen hints of things like Whitebeard playing on the gyrocopter and support role. We've seen a lot of Undying from them, so we don't know what they're going to grab, and I think that plays to their strengths. We've only seen CDEC on one particular patch and them dominant on one particular patch, so you know, maybe that's the key for Archon is that versatility they have.
Now, another hero that I want to ask about that you mentioned kind of briefly is the Templar Assassin, being a key hero that they like to play. That seems to be pretty common just in the North American scene in general, and throughout Dota it's been fairly common that the different regions have different mini metas. Where do you think TA ranks just overall, given that some regions seem to really not value her as a pick right now?
I think after the new version, I think it's probably like a top 3 mid.
Yeah, I think Wind Ranger's slightly better just because she's not easily as countered. But TA is still really, really good. Also, TA is like predominantly better on Dire because of that. And the Ancients are getting a lot harder. So that was, I think, the one indirect nerf to her. But Wind Ranger didn't really receive any at all.
So what gives her such an edge on the Dire side?
I think the Ancient stacking is a little bit easier and just being able to solo Roshan. If you get a DD rune, you can solo it.
Okay, fair enough. Even with the medallion nerfs, that I guess maybe is an indirect buff to TA because now she has that edge. Yeah, very good. Any other key picks that come to mind for this matchup?
I think Tusk is a pretty big deal. I think Moo plays it a lot as well as XZ.
Yep.
So that's probably when I would expect to be banned in the first phase.
Yeah, I guess there's only so much you can theory craft about CDEC when we haven't seen what they've been practicing. So we'll have to just be patient and see what they have in store for the draft. I still want to see some Naga Siren. We saw her banned out quite a bit against Secret, but
You do? I'm actually quite happy with the fact that we don't get to see any Naga Siren.
I like the support Naga though. I find it a little bit fun. Maybe I'm just a masochist in that way.
I don't either.
Super boring. What I'd like to see, and I'm just going to harp on this again, I hope we would see it with Secret, and I hope we're going to see it with Archon now. A Chen pickup, maybe a Visage pickup. I think these are two heroes that are incredibly strong, this version. Yet we haven't seen any yet.
I like to see LC.
Yeah.
Moog plays LC in the off lane. He's done it actually pretty recently too, and then going back to Chen, maybe Visage or even Enchantress, some jungling heroes. Like, that's what Fluff's really known for is his Visage play, I think in particular. We've seen, and also Mirana got a slight buff as well, so if he wants to go for the Mirana, which I think would be kind of, I mean, it'd be a little iffy, but I think, you know, there are some supports that Fluff really thrives on that are available and are a bit better than they used to be, so.
With how strong Bane seems at the moment with its win rate and everything, I think Mirana could work really well.
Is that Bane Mirana strat still pretty potent, or does that feel just a little bit gimmicky?
It's potent until, you know, the enemy team just huddles up and goes down 5 manning. Then it gets pretty bad.
Yeah. That is one of the more interesting aspects of Fluff as a support player, his ability to just avoid death. He seems very elusive, but able to still make a lot of plays happen at the same time.
Yeah, and it's also his play calling too. I mean, you talked about aggressive and joining in and being part of the team fights early on. And I think that's what Fluff also tries to instill in his players too, is just to get that player out of the safe lane, get him roaming around, getting kills and stuff like that. But obviously, easier said than done against CDEC because they're going to be, you know, sacking up the jungle, making sure they get farmed for aggressive, and they're going to try to smoke in their own right as well. So I think a lot of early clashes will probably be the name of the game for both squads, depending on the lineups. But obviously, again, we won't really know until we get into the game.
Yeah, and one of the other heroes I wanted to ask you about, because you mentioned it earlier, was the support gyrocopter for Whitebeard. How has that worked out? That seems a little too off the wall if you were to ask me in a vacuum.
I think they played it once, and I think they lost with it. I'm not 100% sure. It was recent, though, but it's not something you see every day. I think it's a good hero if you have some lockdown, obviously, with the Rocket Barrage. I mean, you have to get the levels for it, too, but, I mean, he could do some decent damage. I mean, that nerf to Rocket Barrage wasn't that bad, I think, in this patch, so.
I don't think it's that great versus the popularity of dual lanes nowadays.
Yeah.
I think he's really good at solo zoning out an offlaner, but with 2-on-2 situations or 3-on-2, it's not nearly as strong.
And the utility of his skill set going into the later stages of the game is pretty useless, especially with the nerf to the ultimate. So I don't think Gyrocopter is necessarily something we're going to see on the support, not in a tournament like this.
Okay, a little too off the wall for this kind of a
just way too
stage.
weak.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. And then the Ember Spirit. It wouldn't be a discussion on this patch without talking about Ember Spirit just a little bit. What was it that caused him to rise to popularity so much on 6.85?
He's imbalanced.
He's just imbalanced. That's it. All right, drop the mic and walk away. It's too much.
No, I mean he's very hard to kill. Obviously, he deals a ton of damage if you just give him a bit of space. So it's just an all-around good hero for players that can play him on a high level.
Mm-hmm. And we've seen Monkey Business really utilize that hero well, and the Boots of Travel build has also risen to popularity.
People have realized after seeing CDC play in TI5 that early map control, it just translates into having a core go well into the late game. It doesn't matter if they scale well, it's just because you have map control, you can do whatever you want. And heroes like Ember and Gyro, you can fight prior to 10 minutes.
There's practically no downtime on him either, right? Because he can just keep going, and with the Boots of Travel build, he can be everywhere constantly.
Although I expected more picks of Keeper Light for that same regards, but we haven't actually seen too much Keeper.
What, you mean that just kind of global strat so the Ember can bounce around?
No downtime with recall on any hero, pretty much, like Storm Spirit plus recall, but I don't know. I expected him to be picked up by Secret at least.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, maybe we'll see it later in the tournament. As we've talked about earlier, it's a hero that Secret does tend to go back to. I mean, what is the big drawback to Kato, though? I mean, he's not picked for a reason, I would imagine. He does have some weaknesses.
I mean, he's not that bad. A lot of the times, like, you can't just farm for your ags, which I think what a lot of teams ran in 6.83, 6.84. You just don't have 20 minutes of time to do anything.
You don't have that same time to just go into the jungle with your 4 position and just farm up whatever.
Junglers in general are just extremely weak right now.
It's a bit different if you have an Ember Spirit on your carry position, or a Clinks for that matter, that like hits level 7 or gets Boots of Travel and then will go out and make kills, and then Cuddle can just stand in the lane and make sure that someone soaks up all the farm and the experience. But we haven't really seen that yet. I mean, we've only seen one best of 3, and it's with Secret doing some goofball picks.
Goofball picks, that's what we're calling it.
It's good against 5-man strats, though, without heal, which, I mean, Fnatic ran 5-man strats with heal, so it wasn't that great versus them.
And Fnatic did ban it in game 2.
Yeah. very, very true. It just seems like this patch is so, it's important to be able to take fights past that 15-minute mark where, and I guess that's where heroes kind of like Ember Spirit can really shine because he can get involved once he gets that initial kit. And we did see a little bit of Slark play earlier. Obviously it didn't work out from Fnatic, but I think he kind of fits the bill in that scenario as well, especially if you can get the early Shadow Blade.
Generally carries that gets like one item, carries that can start fighting with one item, although Spectre needs a big item to do so. You know, they just seem to be a lot better. Ember Spirit joining in very soon or very early on. Clinks doesn't even need a big item. Go around with power threads and maybe a medallion.
Soul Ring.
Yeah, just a Soul Ring. So
yep. All right. The Bat Rider is another hero I want to bring up. I know we mentioned it earlier. Mott, is there any chance that we see Archon bust out a Bat Rider?
I mean, I don't think so. I don't think they're going to grab that.
You can say no. That's a perfectly appropriate answer.
I know. They're not going to pick it. I'm pretty sure they're not going to grab that hero. And that's just not a hero that I think they're either comfortable with. Moo's been playing so many different heroes that maybe he could grab it, but I don't know if they put it in the offlane. I don't even know where that hero goes now, honestly. I have actually no idea. Like, that hero's been like nerfed into oblivion. He's come back, I think, a little bit in this last patch, but...
Yep. S4, basically just S4, I think, is the big proponent. But talk to us about the... Oh, go ahead.
Ben and I talked about this earlier, how this was really the version of the offlaner, and I think there's so many better offlane heroes than the Bat Rider right now, and it doesn't seem strong enough to go on the middle lane either.
Yep.
Granted, S4 has some success with it, but...
Yeah, it seems like that's also a combination of playing around global strats and that kind of stuff. Now, you mentioned the offlane Slardar as well. Tell us a little bit about that strategy. I mean, he was buffed in this last patch. Now he can phase through creeps when he's sprinting.
Yeah. I mean, it's just something that Moo feels very comfortable with. He's actually played it in so many pubs. And he's actually, I think, highest in North American MMR just by playing offlane, Slardar, and another hero, I think, maybe Darkseer or something like that. You pretty much just get an early blink dagger, you just start fighting, essentially. Even with the new sprint change, obviously, you can get out of ganks pretty easily as well. It's
but wouldn't that make heroes like Centaur, let's say, more popular too?
Again, I think the phase version of the sprint really makes the difference.
Yeah.
The fact that it can't be blocked by creeps. And
yeah, but he's useless without blink. I think a lot of the heroes that are in the offlane, you like if you have to farm a big item in order to be useful, they're not useful.
I mean, Centaur is fairly useless without the blink as well. Granted, Stampede is...
and Centaur's not picked at all.
Yeah, but and if you had to pick one of the two right now, I think Slardar is the better pick.
He's better survivability
I saw
in
Universe
lane.
play him a couple times too.
Amplified damage, always good.
Yeah. Gives you great Roche control as well.
Yeah,
and again, indirect buff now that Medallion's been weakened. I mean, are you into the offlane Slardar? Do you buy it, Milk?
Maybe as a fifth or sixth option.
if
the entire phase has been for other heroes, yeah, maybe. I agree with Mort though. I think it's better. Or was that me saying that? Maybe it was me saying that. I think it's right now it's better than the Centaur just because of how Centaur falls off.
Ags.
I think Centaur Ags is just a little bit underrated. We saw it work against Venomancer in Dream League 3 days ago. Work against Venomancer as well as anything works against that hero, but it's a tool to mitigate some of that damage.
I think Slardar's better. I mean, I'm a fan of amplified damage, and don't get me wrong, I love Centaur Warrunner as well, but it doesn't seem strong enough, fast enough.
I feel like in certain team fights, especially in this patch, a lot of the fights, especially in the last series we saw, were going on for minutes at a time. That Centaur ult only lasts for a little while, and then you have amplified damage over the course of a team fight on a couple of heroes. You're starting to hit pretty hard. You have more sustain there, obviously, and just getting heroes killed quicker. So
with the organized team fights, minus armor is the big thing in Dota right now, and has been throughout the past year. So in organized team fights where you're like, I'm gonna amplify damage this target, and he just goes down immediately, like support heroes suddenly hit for a ton of damage.
Yeah. And AoE stuns are always a good thing to have on this patch when you're fighting a lot more earlier than usual. So, unfortunately, one of the Archon players is having some technical difficulties with his headset, so we are going to get this game started as quickly as possible. But, team comms are a pretty important part of Dota 2. So
you can't figure out how to get it on? Is that the...
Well, I didn't get the details, but hopefully it's something a little more technical than that. But
what I speak into.
You never know. Is this thing on? Yeah. So, any other key heroes that come to mind, though, Mott, for Archon? Any other off-the-wall picks that you think we could see? Feel free to delve into the theory crafting here.
I think I went through a lot of them.
Yeah,
if not all of them,
really
but
have. Okay,
no. I mean, they really prioritize Undying as well. Those are often the first two bans: is Templar Assassin and Undying for whatever team they're playing against. I think those are the two most important heroes for them. Whitebeard or Fluff will play Undying if necessary. Fluff also plays a mean Rubik, and they've played a lot of Rubik recently as well. I think maybe in that Complexity series, it was one of the series where they played Rubik in all 3 games. So. It's just a hero that they love to play as well, but they actually have such a wide hero pool for support. So,
where do you think Archon rank in terms of NA strength?
Well, I definitely
EG
think,
first, and then
obviously EG first. I think Cloud9 is second. I don't think that's in dispute anymore. Digital Chaos probably third, and then Fire is fourth.
Do you think it's that clear cut though that you can just say, oh, none of these teams are tied?
I think so, yeah, because
Let's remember Fire got here by beating Digital Chaos 3-0, right?
they beat
Or
him.
was that
They beat him.
Complexity?
They beat him 2-1.
Complexity, yeah.
They threw out Complexity in the series before that. They 2-1 Digital Chaos, and then Digital Chaos I think beat Cloud9. I'm not sure if that's how it worked out, but Cloud9 and Digital Chaos have a bit of a rivalry, and Cloud9 has the edge, I think, in the series there. They have like the actual mathematical edge, and Fire has looked like they're kind of hot and cold, and I think that's the biggest thing is that Cloud9 is definitely more consistent, Digital Chaos is definitely more consistent, EG obviously is EG, and we don't really need to discuss them, and I mean, Complexity, I think, is probably the next closest team. HCWP, High Councils of Wizards and Priests, they're a team that's sort of up there, but they haven't really shown themselves yet, so I definitely would put Archon in the 4th position. So
Isn't it better for a team to be hot and cold though than like inconsistently not that good?
I mean, if you're going to beat number 2 from TI, probably.
yes, agreed. But I mean, the thing is they've been playing in all these tournaments and they just haven't gotten through to the qualifying stage, like in the Nanyang qualifiers and things like that. They just haven't gotten through. Whereas Digital Chaos, Cloud9, they've consistently gotten top 2.
I mean, Fire's here.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true.
So if we cross the Pacific and look at CDEC, what has the version really done to cripple their metagame, their strategies? Because there's a lot of their heroes that got nerfed, right?
Lena,
a lot of
yeah.
the
Big
PL.
one.
Yeah.
PL, Gyro.
Although Techies was nerfed, so that's good. Works in their favor.
Tusk was kind of nerfed, but it's still pickable, so
Yeah,
that's a hero they pick a lot. So
Tusk is still good.
Yeah.
I wonder if
good.
they can play Techies. I think Whitebeard has played Techies a fair amount. He used to play it on...
he's played it. I know he's played it once recently.
Yeah. He used to play
on
it on his ultimate.
6.85 recently, or
No, I think it was right before his
Okay.
25 dropped.
and maybe that is a good topic of conversation. Is Techies viable right now? The changes to him were pretty
I
drastic.
think with Tusk, he's a lot better.
Okay.
And you can actually like play him. He's much more suicide based, I feel like, than mind based. And so
So you have to be more active early on and actually secure some kills at the cost of your own life.
And I don't think there's any other hero that synergizes as well with suicide as Tusk in the early game. I can't think of a better one.
Maybe Tiny if you want to be really
Yeah, but
cheesy.
Tiny doesn't lock him into place. So like when you hit with the
Yep.
snowball, you actually stun them, and then it's almost a guaranteed blow up.
That's
So
true.
That's I think by far the best combo in my eyes, and I think if they can take the Tusk and not have to ban it against CDEC as well as take Techies, that's at least one easy game that Archon can take if they can play Techies well.
Yeah. On the note of Whitebeard, I always think of Disruptor. There was a
Yes.
time where it seemed like they just picked Disruptor for Whitebeard every single game. And this is just past teams, even before they were Fire, before Archon.
It was Sneaky Nick's Assassins
Yeah.
TI4
is that
qualifiers.
still in the cards for Archon? Or?
Disruptor's a better hero now than he was before, so you have to wonder why not pick him in this situation. I mean, maybe not the strongest support, but if he's comfortable with it, why not pick it? There we go.
When I think of him, I think of like a scale of 10 Earthshaker games, and 9 of them I'll question why he's a competitive player. And then in that one game, I'll just think, wow, this guy's world class. He has like one good out of 10 games on it from everything I've seen. That's how I remember him.
I think you said he was a top 50 player here.
Yeah, not knowing who's in the crowd right now.
Okay, well done, well done. So we do have a draft here finally, ladies and gentlemen. CDEC will be on the Dire side to get things started. They'll be the ones to ban out the Undying. Archon, they take out Tusk as well as Gyrocopter.
This is not surprising. I mean, CDEC have done their homework. If they're smart, I think they ban Templar Assassin here.
What do you think about the
I don't like
gyro
first
ban
place.
from Archon? Isn't that sort of surprising?
I
would
think with
say
the
so.
way he plays them, it's not that... Like, his nerfs weren't actually that great. Is the BKB nerf as well as the...
It's just assuming that they haven't practiced anything since TI, and then, let's just remove what
Well,
they...
that's all the information you have.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
It's not like you scrimmed any of the people that they scrimmed against.
Well,
it's
then-
highly unlikely.
The other road you could go down is just banning out the heroes that you are weak against in this version.
I think judging by their versatility at TI5, I think it's way better to ban what they're good at as opposed to what you're bad against. If I'm in Archon's shoes.
And I guess you can also just try to ban around the meta a little bit heroes. I guess at a similar point, just heroes that you feel are particularly strong on this patch, regardless of your team synergy.
I mean, have there really been that many heroes that
Right.
have shown to be, oh gosh, we can't play against this in 6.85? I don't feel like there's that many of them.
Necrophos.
Venomancer.
I think Shadow Priest is up there.
But it's not CDE. CDEC doesn't like super favor that hero. And it'd be a much different play style.
I'd go away from assuming that they play the same way they did 2 months ago. I think that's going to be your first mistake if you're Team Archon, just thinking that they haven't prepared anything, thinking they haven't practiced and are completely out of touch with the version.
I mean, I think their style works well for this version.
CDECs?
Yeah.
Their general style,
Their
yes.
general play style, but not their picks.
Well, Archon will have a change of pace for us here. First pick, Winter Wyvern. We were curious where she was in the last series and just sort of in general. Nahaz mentioned that she has been picked statistically a fair bit on this patch, but is this classic comfort zone for Archon here, Mont?
Yeah, this is something it's another support that they've picked. I mean, they've picked so many supports recently, but Winter Wyvern's one that's been picked over the amount of series they've played. It's that, it's Rubik, it's Undying, but Winter Wyvern's right up there for them.
All right, and now we see the Queen of Pain Bounty Hunter opener here for CDEC. Bounty Hunter, a hero that was nerfed quite a bit, and he is definitely one of those how the mighty have fallen type heroes in this new patch of 6.85.
The track nerf hurt hard.
Yeah.
Not being able to see what the target sees is huge. It doesn't sound like that big changes. I still see the target at least, but no, it's very, very limited.
And we talked about part of their success was vision based, just having that control of the map, knowing where the opponents are. You take that away from Bounty Hunter, and you would think it would take away some of the appeal for CDEC to pick it, but they still seem pretty confident. I mean, how bad is Bounty Hunter? From what you're saying, it sort of seems like you're implying that he's really not so strong now.
No, the track nerf vision, I think, was actually the biggest nerf. His early roaming hasn't been changed at all. Right. So if you pick strong lane controllers like Queen of Pain, he will be useful.
Okay. Fair enough. And now a familiar face. So perhaps if this was our first series, I'd say, whoa, a second pick Nyx Assassin, but we saw it work earlier. From Secret in our first series. Thoughts about this pickup, Mon?
I mean, it's Nyx Assassin was buffed. I think it's 45-second cooldown. The first level for Vendetta is very strong. We saw it work out earlier. I mean, he's got a good stun. Mana burn, obviously, very nice as well. There's nothing wrong with this hero. In fact, it's
quite good against Queen of Pain.
Right.
Really good against Queen of Pain.
Yeah. It's very strong here, I think, in this situation. They
I mean, if you look at the opening from CDC right now, you might be prone to believe that they haven't actually followed much from the new version. I don't think Bounty Hunter is worthwhile a first rotation pick.
Agreed.
It seems pretty unlikely that he would be banned out as well, just given how little he's been played on this patch. But Archon will continue banning along historical lines here. PL, their third.
And then there's the Slowdar ban from CDEC, so they clearly know they don't want Mu getting that hero, understandably so. Archon are on the Radiant side, so they might not be going for the Templar SS, and they might not, value it as highly, especially against the Queen of Pain. Maybe they go for something else here instead. We'll see.
Okay. Do you think the side advantage is really that drastic for TA that she's, I don't want to say not pickable on Radiant, but it's really that big of a difference that even if it's a comfort zone pick, you still wouldn't go for it?
Well, it's the side in the matchup. I don't know how comfortable they feel about Queen of Pain on the Radiant side, or Queen of Pain versus them on the Radiant side.
I see. The kind of factor of both.
I think it's somewhat comparable to the Radiant Shadow Fiend advantage.
Okay, fair enough. Now Brood Mama banned out by Team Archon here as we see what CDEC want to take out with their fourth.
They could ban the TA just to be safe. I don't know. What else is there?
I think it's fine. They can just dump Queen in the safe or mid and
they have a Bounty Hunter. Right now, TA is not that big of a concern.
Yeah.
Ember is a much better ban.
Yeah.
They might pick up Ember themselves, though.
No, it's banned out.
Oh, okay, they banned it.
They banned it out here.
JK.
A safe ban indeed. So now CDC will have the luxury of the third pick, and this is where things get interesting. We'll see if their draft continues along 6.84 lines or not.
So outside of these three carries, PL, Gyrocopter, and Ember Spirit, what have we actually seen aggressive play during TI?
Quap.
Anything else come to mind?
I can't remember.
Feels like ages ago now.
I don't think so. I'm surprised he didn't play Bloodseeker.
No, he actually did play Bloodseeker.
He did play Bloodseeker?
I think he played it one game. Yeah. That might have been before TI, I'm not sure, in the WCA qualifiers, or WCA 2015, but I'm pretty sure he's played Bloodseeker before.
Well, seems like a pretty decent Rubik game so far. Both Nyx Assassin and Winter Wyvern have quite good spells to steal for the Grand Magus.
I think they have a lot of good synergy with Darks here, although at the same time it would make Nyx Assassin's life really difficult in order to find levels. I don't really like Nyx support too much just because I think having a level 6 Nyx at like 20 minutes is pretty useless, whereas having it at 10 minutes can actually kill a lot of heroes out.
Is it surprising to you that neither Darkseer or Shadow Fiend have been picked or banned at this point?
Darkseer, yes. Shadow Fiend, probably, but you have to. it's more likely to be picked up by Archon, and then they have to deal with the Bounty Hunter roam.
Well, there's that Doom pick. We've talked about it quite a bit on this panel so far. We did not see it picked or banned in the first series, and here you go, Archon showing some confidence.
Obviously incredibly strong against the Queen of Pain, completely removing her blink ability and just basically holding her in place and being a very easy kill for the rest of the lineup, Nyx Assassin as well. I don't think they have to put too much effort into killing her if they just get the Doom off of her.
It's really good against Bounty Hunter too. You can't really roam on a Doom. He just pops Scorched Earth and then you can't kick the lane for
Scorched Earth is really strong. That's it's a really strong ability right now too.
And I think they're going to have damage issues against him. Queen of Pain does okay, but with a very high HP hero like Doom, and Rubik doesn't actually do that much damage. Maybe if you steal Scorched Earth, you can, but I foresee a lot of problems taking down the Doom, especially with the Wiper.
Anti-Mage isn't a very good pickup either. Again, for the same reason that Queen of Pain isn't.
We have seen Shiki play Shadow Fiend. Maybe they do Shadow Fiend mid, Queen of Pain goes in the safe lane for aggressive.
Okay, they take their offlaner here, so guaranteed to be that roaming Bounty Hunter. Not that that was...
Looks like 6.84 to me.
Yeah. But looking at, aside from the Bounty Hunter, Queen of Pain, Rubik, and Clockwork are all still very strong in this patch. So they are playing to their strengths in that sense.
Queen is kind of is highly prioritized by some teams, but a lot of teams think she's not worth picking a lot of the time. So I don't know. I think they're still good, but they're not in the pick order that CDEC I think prioritizes them.
I'd say with the current heroes on Team Archon, I wouldn't like playing the Queen of Pain.
Yeah, not at all.
That being said, I'd go on a Chromicon on her. And a Linken's probably.
Okay, we haven't seen that Necro build recently, but that is a viable build, even though you're struggling here. Medusa, 4th pick for Archon. Okay.
I like Medusa.
I actually think that pick is just one pick too soon. I don't see CDEC banning it out, and right now they're opening up for an anti-mage pick. Unless they're baiting the anti-mage pick, I feel like they should have kept that Medusa pick as the ace in the hole, unless they have an even more.
I mean, to be fair, they have a lot to deal with an anti-mage, though. Wyvern, Nyx Assassin, and Doom are all great against him.
Yeah, and there's not really any other great Diffusal carriers. PL's been banned out. Spectre, I think, will just get pressured way too hard in lane. But Medusa's nice. I think she's a little bit underrated this patch. With the popularity of Anti-Mage and PL, I didn't expect her to be picked at all in 6.84, although VP did it once. But in 6.85, with those two heroes kind of gone by the wayside, her mana shield can actually stay up.
Yeah. So how do you think that they'll set up these lanes, Maut? Doom, very versatile right now. He could be that safe lane, more position 1. Could be an off-laner here. I mean, even same with Medusa. Is this definitely that position 1 type safe lane, or could this be a mid Medusa, that kind of Mushi style, so to speak?
It could be mid.
Yeah, it could be mid. I think that's not a terrible place to put her. I think she could be okay there. I don't know where they're going to put the Doom in the safe lane or the off lane.
I think Doom should be off lane.
He could go to the jungle if necessary and just have a fine time there. He can rotate out of the jungle, maybe try to gank as well because of the new Scorched Earth change, which actually gives him a decent amount of damage.
They can just play super greedy. They're like both their other two offlaners or other two lanes besides the safe lane is like super hard to kill with the Bounty Hunter. Like it's almost impossible to kill either of these if they have I don't know, magic stick charges on Medusa or Scorched Earth up on Doom, which they shouldn't be pushing out that far otherwise. So it's just important to limit the Bounty Hunter's usefulness in the early game.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean,
actually, Doom could be jungle. Yeah, I have no idea.
Looking at this draft from Archon, that seems to be part of the power, is the versatility. You really have no idea who's going to be in which lane, except you know that Wyvern will be support. That's about it. The Dwarven Sniper for CDEC. Okay.
I actually like that a lot. It's not really affected too much by Doom nor the Medusa ultimate. The only thing he has to be careful of is the Nyx Assassin. It's not a big priority for Winter's Curse either, and they desperately need some damage to go through on that Doombringer and Medusa.
I do like Sniper, but I don't think he does enough damage in this particular setup. Like, Doom will just run at the Sniper.
And I think they'll have an edge where they can hit this timing before Sniper's really online. He really needs some space to farm before he
so does
stand on his
Medusa.
own.
So
does she, though? I mean, what about something like a Phase Boots Yasha build in the mid lane, for example, where you could be a little more mobile,
I personally like the Solar Crest Rush.
Okay. Well, you can substitute whatever item you like, but more of a driver's seat Medusa rather than AFK farming.
Well, Phase Yasha doesn't give you any survivability.
Yeah.
With Solar, you can actually push towers down, and this lineup is actually not very good at pushing towers down. So if you want to exert some sort of pressure and start fights, then you have to have that frontliner. I guess Doom can kind of serve as that, but Scorched Earth isn't 24/7.
I think this Sniper may struggle, especially against the Nyx Assassin. If he just wants to pick on that Sniper, he can hop in the back line and just make his life
Oh,
difficult.
if he gets a Blink Dagger too.
Oh my, another interesting pick. My oh me. Even just the 4 games now we've seen drafts for, so much versatility in the heroes. Chaos Knight, the final pick for Archon.
Support Chaos Knight?
No.
Fluff picked it.
Support Nyx Assassin.
I mean, Fluff picked Chaos Knight, though.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did.
They can switch things up. They can still swap it. Who knows?
They may swap. We'll have to wait until we get into the game. Now, seeing the drafts, we need to do our predictions here before we hand it over to the casters. Melk,
I gotta
you
go
just
with
look stunned
CDC.
and confused here.
I gotta go with CDC just because what?
Okay. Mott?
Yeah, that last pick Sniper might actually help them out a decent fair bit. I actually like Archon's draft a bit, but I think I'm just going to give it to CDEC a little bit.
Fire. I think if CDC played a lot in 6.85, they wouldn't have picked 6.84 heroes.
I'm inclined to agree. Wild picks from Archon, but interesting ones nonetheless. We'll see how it works out. So with that, we're going to hand it over to our casters for Game 1 of Archon versus CDEC.
Hello everybody, this is Purge, and I'm Capitalist. We're going to be casting our next series together. Purge, we've got a lot to talk about here, including the support Chaos Knight, which we've only seen in Dream League so far, run by Matt, actually, in Monkey Freedom Fighters.
It was theorized in the previous patch, but pretty much nobody played it. Chaos Knight gets another buff. If he gets a lucky crit, he gets essentially a Desolator for free, so it could really work out. We'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And then, of course, we have the safe lane sniper. You and I were kind of talking about, okay, where's this Doom going to be going? It will be an off-lane Doom. We're going to have a 747. Susie is going to be playing the Nyx Assassin, which could be mid and could also be, I guess, farming safe lane mid?
He's got a lot of extra regen on him. He has both the Salve and a Tango, so I'm going to guess safe lane. But I would have thought that they would have put him against the Queen of Pain. Like, at the very least, if things get really bad, you can spike Carapace to stun a little bit. But he will be very good against Queen of Pain late game. If he gets a fast Blink Dagger, he's actually going to be able to put a lot of pressure on the sniper. And I think that's really what they need. They need somebody that can set up kills. And if it was just a support Nyx, like, Doom's not going to set up kills very well until he gets a Blink. Medusa certainly can't, and maybe Chaos Knight can. But I think they definitely need him to do well for their draft to do well here.
All right, so CDEC going to be starting off running at that bottom bounty rune. Aggressive looks like he's going to be playing the top lane Queen of Pain. We're going to have a mid Shiki sniper. So Medusa should fare, I think, pretty well in that matchup.
Yeah, I like that they're putting him mid because he just turns on Mana Shield and he's not going to die. His survivability is going to be so much higher than a typical mid hero. So this is one of the solutions that they can go for here. And yeah, mid Medusa is not that bad. If you get any good Mystic Snake jumps, then you're going to do a ton of damage to your opponents. And the increase per jump is increased in the last patch. It went from 25% to 35%. I haven't done the math, but that means more mana and more damage. So he can actually get a little bit more lane sustain here.
Yeah, the bounces are insane. If you actually get it in like one of those situations where you hit it on 5 heroes, the amount of damage you do in total is absurd. But very rare to see something like that in Whitebeard. Pretty unlucky there. Missed his Arctic Burn hit uphill. And Shiki will survive with no harassment dealt.
I don't think it would have done a whole lot anyways. Moo's going to grab a Dark Troll Warlord. Not exactly the troll that he wants. Oh, they're going to turn around, go on Q.
Oh, a 2-second stun right out of the Q. He did not expect that one. And Garter comes in trying to slow down Moo. They might be able to get the turnaround kill as Moo he just has no regen left with no Scorched Earth available. So they do the 1-for-1 trade-off, but still First Blood going to Fire.
Yeah, that's going to be worth it completely. That's a fast boots for Fluff and stuff now. Now his roam's even better, and that's what you do with this hero. It does between 75 and 200 magic damage with a skill point. I mean, it's going to cost him like a Clarity Potion or a Mango every time he does throw that, but the roam potential is just huge on Chaos Knight here. And now he runs at 375 movement speed. This could set up very easily onto Sniper mid, and that's why he popped the smoke.
Yeah, so he's going to be looking for that early gank up. They are leaving the Nyx Assassin solo against the Clockwork. We'll talk about that in a bit. And we have to first see if Fluff and Stuff's game is going to be successful. He's going to go all the way into this tier 1 tower. Fortunately, Chaos Knight is pretty tanky. The 1-second stun isn't great, but they got the slow of the Arctic Burn, and it looks like they will get this kill. Fluff is actually going to go down to a quick headshot turnaround there. So Sniper Shiki makes the best of a bad scenario, picking up the kill before he dies.
I really didn't think that he was going to get a kill.
I didn't think so either. What a headshot.
Does he have 2 points in headshot or something? Oh, and Jo actually in some trouble too.
Yeah, he's actually no mana left. Gardner's going to be able to run him down pretty well. Is he going to commit for this one? It would take too many hits, and Gardner decides against it. Still, though, just being able to force the Medusa back a significant portion. In fact, he's just going to go all the way back to base and have Fluff and Stuff take over the lane for now.
Yeah, it's pretty good for Fluff. Once he gets level 2, if he had Reality Rift in that last engagement, it would have been even easier killing Sniper. You could maybe criticize him for that, because he could have just sat top for maybe 1 or 2 creeps, gotten 2, and then shifted for the gank, but who knows if that would have happened.
Now, what do you think about the fact that they're leaving this Nyx Assassin against Clockwork? This 1-versus-1 matchup, you see 747 actually does go for a really early mana burn. The Winter Wyvern only just now showing his face, but it's already with boots picked up on the Clockwork and a decent amount of gold in the bank as well.
What's basically going to happen is in the mid game, and by mid I mean the 6 to 10 minute mark, Clockwork's going to have good gank potential because he's already level 4. Like he's got more levels than the Doom does by far, 2 more levels on him. So when he hits 6, he's going to start moving around the map and trying to set up kills. So it's pretty much coming down to CDEC on Clockwork. He's the one that needs to make the plays and make things happen. He has to look around for Medusa and things like that. He can get solo kills on, maybe not Nyx Assassin, but Chaos Knight definitely, and a couple other heroes. So it's going to come down to XC to play well.
Yeah, I feel like XC already kind of recognizes that pressure that's going to be put on him, and he's going for like the maxed out kill build with early levels and battery assault, so hoping to be able to max that out by level 7, but he is going to be ganked here by Fluff and stuff, and he does have a set of cogs, but he's just going to be 2 seconds stun, and now they're going to pop the mango to be able to chain the stun down, and Fluff and stuff is able to pick up the kill.
He looked like he was not at his computer for the first second of that. Must have been in the shop or looking at a different lane or something, but he did not see Fluff coming, and that just gave them a little bit of extra go-ahead for that kill, and Fluff's roaming has been great so far. Level 3 now, 2 levels in Chaos Bolt. That's a 1 to 3 second stun, and I think this looks pretty good for Fire. The only downside is Doom is behind where Clockwork is.
You know, the point that you made about the Medusa is really being shown here with the 2 levels and Mana Shield. The Bounty Hunter rotates in, but they have no counter wards because they don't really need them. Jo is perfectly fine. The Sniper doesn't offer enough offensive power that Jo is going to feel the pressure in a 2-versus-1 scenario.
That's a really good point, because then the supports get an extra 100, 200 gold in the early game. They don't have to worry about that trade. They don't have to move their hero resources to sit behind mid constantly, things like that. That's such a good point. It really helps them a lot. Whitebeard can just focus on setting up ganks and harassing.
Oh, they go into XD once again, popping the full mana of Fluff and stuff. We'll see, meanwhile, if this third hero coming in from CDEC has grabbed the Invis rune and is looking to gank the Medusa, hoping that extra number of heroes is going to make the difference.
I don't know, man. It might not be enough. 3 levels of Shrapnel might help, but actually some damage on Gardner now.
Yeah, they do get the telekinesis onto Whitebeard. Looks like he's going to be going down that Medusa snake, bouncing around, did so much damage to Gardner. Moo's going to come in now, and he does have War Stomp. Looks like they're just going to try and run down Q and call it a day. Moo's committing heavily for this kill and will be able to get it, but now, they're actually going to go into Gardner with Fluff and stuff coming in for the side. They get the kill on the Bounty Hunter. Aggressive is here, though. He doesn't have a blink for another 8 seconds, and with the innate movement speed plus the early boots on the Chaos Knight, he's able to stay ahead of both the Queen of Pain and the Clockwork who rotated over.
Man, it just looked like Whitebeard had no idea what he was doing, but it actually transitioned well. Doom is very good at diving under towers because of Scorched Earth, and then Fluff came from the side. I think that double kill's worth it. Jail looks like he's going to die, though. He does go down.
Yeah, the Assassinate is enough damage, as he was running low on mana, so not expecting that continued aggression from CDEC.
What a weird game.
Yeah, this is
They're throwing their lives away back and forth.
The draft just from the start was already kind of like, okay, this is really peculiar, especially for 6.85, but and the early amount of aggression has made things even weirder for us. We do see the phase boots built on Shiki.
Who's been farming top Quap, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 2 heroes that haven't come into play too much, Quap's been in 3 kills, with that said. It's basically Nyx Assassin. He's only been in 1 assist here, that 1 kill on the Chaos Knight. So we'll see how long he farms for. He's already got Arcane Boots in level 6. I'm not sure if he's just going to sit down here and wait for the blink, but I feel like once in a while shifting out and using his ultimate would be really good. But the hard part is that it's going to be really obvious when he does it, since he has been so static. So his rotations are going to be very easily read, but I'm sure 747 can handle this. He's a very good player.
Yep, the Haste Rune coming in for Gardner just does a small amount of damage. They know they can't really take the Nyx Assassin with 5 armor and that innate HP regen as well. Really tough to fight against him. So perhaps an early blink deck. We also had the Aghanims that was upgraded for the Nyx Assassin as well. So that's a potential, I think, just a little bit of extra that allows the Nyx Assassin to be more of a farming hero in lane oftentimes.
Fluff trying to get a kill mid here.
Yeah, the early smoke. They're willing to burn through smokes just to be able to shut down Shiki as best as possible. Makes his reveal. The Gardner is there, but I don't think it'll matter too much, as they're going to be able to get the Mystic Stank, bounce off, and Gardner's actually dropping super low. They're going to split their damage pretty heavily and won't be able to get either kills. Heavy rotations come out. He has already completed his TP with a great telekinesis. They're going to slow down Jo enough for this Assassinate to finish him off.
Yeah, that was too much of a reach there. Shiki was just positioned too well, and that wasn't going to work. So Fire is maybe having some nerve problems. They're kind of just running at things that seem a little bit dangerous, and it's been trading equally, but when stuff like that starts happening and Sniper's going to end up getting double kills. He's 4-1-1 right now, and there's been a lot of aggression on him, and that really can't happen. from a support standpoint. You can't roam that much and just feed those deaths that many times. So
Right.
And they spent 2 smokes, which means that their mid to late game, they're going to have less smokes available. This could really impact things a lot. It's a big loss to you waste a smoke and give a double kill.
Yeah, this Nyx Assassin is going to have to start changing the tempo of this game for Fire, as it's clearly not going their way right now.
So he's going to heal. He's got his Vendetta up. He's moving towards the top lane. That's a decent place to go for a kill, especially because Moo's kind of close to 6 here. They won't necessarily need Doom to do it, but it would help a little bit.
I do feel like the buff to level 1 Vendetta was actually the biggest change for him. There's so much extra time that you can sit around with the invis. It used to be before you had to you had such a small period of time where your gank needed to be successful. XC is actually going to go for the gank in the top lane. Locks down Moo, but there is Fluff and stuff, as well as 747 coming in. Unfortunately, can't do much. They're going to go for the kill on Aggressive. Because the turnaround stun does land, and they get the kill on the Queen of Pain. A worthy trade-off. Now they're actually going to commit to XC. They're desperately trying to get the Spike Carapace, but it doesn't really do anything. And as unfortunately, all the battery assault procs go onto the Doom, and that means we're also going to have a kill on the Nyx Assassin towards the end as Shiki comes in.
It's so hard to kill Clock at that point. They're completely out of mana. He's got a Tranquil Boots already. He's even got a Magic Stick. That trade was just not going to happen. And very wisely, Sniper again TP's in and says, I'll get that last kill. Thanks for the gold and the levels. Now he's 5-1-1 on Sniper. And Fire's lineup is kind of easy to deal with if Sniper is over-farmed. He can just cast out shrapnels, keep people at range and things like that. He's not going to have to worry too much. This is the perfect start for him. And now with the Mask of Madness, until Fire gets blinks or Nyx Assassin gets right on top, he's in trouble. Moo in trouble on the bot lane, with that said.
They're going to try and run him down. Aggressive is going to be able to cut more right clicks, but couldn't actually make the next blink scream. And Fluff is actually going to try and turn things around with his rotation, but it's not going to work out for them. But yeah, I mean, the high mobility builds on the Sniper, I thought we were going to be seeing like a more stat-focused build, but
it's just not that good. Mask of Madness gives you everything you need on the hero. Like, stay far away, continue kiting them, have huge attack speed increase. Like, the bonus damage doesn't matter if your opponents can't get on top of you, and in most cases they can't until Doom gets a blink, until Nyx gets a blink, or Invis. Medusa certainly is not going to close that gap, and Chaos Knight kind of can, but it's still at a big threat of him getting shrapneled and attacked down. So a lot of these heroes are going to have a lot of trouble as long as Sniper stays in the backline, and CDEC definitely has the heroes to scout them out and hopefully prevent that.
All right, so Fire do know what's happening here. In fact, Moo's even gonna TP up to the top lane to continue farming there. The rest of the heroes sit behind the tower because they do know that CDEC have rotated a lot of heroes into their jungle. Jay, in the meantime, isn't really showing himself. He's actually clearing through stacks right now, which with the buffed up damage on Mystic Snake, you can actually do it with just that ability, especially if all the creeps have mana. Then you've got the sustain.
Pretty much infinite. He got full mana back off of every Mystic Snake. Now sitting at level 7, 2 levels of his shield, and they're looking for blood.
Oh, but the stack's going to be stolen. He got through half of it, but now Shiki is here with the rest of his boys. We'll take that away.
It's a little unfortunate, but I don't think it's the end of the world there. I mean, Joe's obviously not having a very good game on Medusa here. Those ganks just did not quite go their way. But he's not getting killed, at least. They've got that going for them. Although the wraparound on
Garter. If they can get this kill on the Medusa, they'll actually be able to get his level 6 or the Courier. Oh, missed it.
You're safe today, Shagbark. Lilo, its name? You can name it? Or is it always named Lilo?
No, you can name it.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that. Yeah. I'm going to buy a lot of name tags when I get home.
6-10 right now. 11 minutes in. A 3,000 gold lead for CDEC and a 4,000 experience lead. The question is, where do you go with this Chaos Knight? I mean, because the power of the Chaos Knight early roaming, we've seen it before in games, but what sort of transition do you start making as you go into the mid game?
If you're playing Chaos Knight carry, obviously you build things like HP, just strength items, because it translates really well to the damage. But as a support, it gets a little bit different. You could hypothetically go for something like a mobility item, like a Blink Dagger.
Yeah, just to be able to get that early Chaos Bolt on a Sniper or something.
But I think they might just want to transition into a carry. Like, one item that's cheaper than ever is Armlet. He's going to pop his ultimate.
Oh, he actually dodged the Shadow Strike, but that doesn't really matter. Aggressive had his ultimate. Just wipes out the illusion and reveals which one is real.
That's kind of what's going to happen for the rest of the game. He's going to try ulting. They're going to cast Scream of Pain or Sonic Wave or just cast Shrapnel on the Chaos Knight illusions, and they're very rapidly going to die. So maybe go an Armlet. It's only 2,300 gold, and you can increase your strength. You can get like 65 damage out of it. It's so inexpensive. Something like that might be good, but he may need mobility as well.
747 just used his stun. He's got to be careful. CDEC may be willing to dive that tower, especially with the tier 1 about to die.
Stolen Pale as well, so he can disable for so long now. It's like 5 seconds of stun.
And Garder's ready to go with the track as soon as they see him. Clockwork reveal. And now they'll just track him and let the tier 1 tower fall. Oh, never mind. Clockwork makes the initiation. Spike Carapace only is going to stop so much of that battery assault damage as he continues to tick down. Kill for the Clockwork.
Really nice kill there. And track gold, of course, going to them for that one. So 6 kills Bounty's been in. He's level 6. He's slightly under-leveled, but he's got the level he needs, level 6.
Yeah, and this means just no one's farming on the side of Fire. You look at their farm, 3,500 across the Medusa, the Doom, and kind of the Nyx Assassin. Meanwhile, you've got over 6k on the Sniper.
I think maybe the reason that Fire Forcer will, until Moo gets ganked, that is, he's going to get a lot of heal out of Scorcher. If he could tank through this, maybe.
Yeah, the Assassinate's going to come in. He gets off the Doom at the very least. It will actually survive through the Assassinate. Now Q's going to die as well, as it looks like he should be. No, actually, with his Scorched Earth, he'll actually alter the damage of the incoming Doom and basically counter that out entirely.
That's a good skill. Heals for about 800 HP and does that much in damage as well. They may continue diving. They don't have hookshot though, so it's a little scary. 13 seconds left.
They got to keep running. 747 is going to come from the side. The Chaos Bolt lands. They're going to try and pop Cheeky as best as possible. The telekinesis now goes out, and Cheeky, Mask of Madness, will be able to get himself away. No other response from Fire. If only that Splinter Blast had been put on something else, maybe, just maybe, that nuke damage would have been enough to finish off the Sniper, but I don't think he really had the time, and now CDEC rapidly taking control of this tier 1 tower.
And again, Rubik doesn't even have to be scared. He's got level 1 Scorched Earth. It doubles his HP pool, actually. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, as long as he doesn't get bursted down, which with Fire's lineup, you're not really too scared of that, unless the Nyx Assassin gets on top of you. Moo's going to be caught here. Scorched Earth not going to save you from all that burst damage. And CDEC have that in spades. Aggressive, oh, maybe going to be caught here. Gets a good amount of damage. 1 second stun for the Chaos Bolt will allow him to blink himself away. Now Fluff and Stuff's going to be caught. And actually, good Cold Embrace. They're getting a lot of damage out on CDEC, but Fluff is still kind of stuck here and may just have to turn around, go for the stun. Actually brings XD back inside the cogs, where JO might be able to right-click him down still. Looks like even with the Mystic Snake, they'll get the kill, but it's a lot of track kills for CDEC.
Oh man, I think the reason they were playing so aggressive in the early game is because they knew that they had just not very good team fight at this stage. Like, yeah, they have Medusa Ultimate and they have Doom, but their fights are not as straightforward as CDEC's are. They have Rubik, Bounty Hunter, Sniper, Clockwork. It's so straightforward. The ganks are a lot easier than what Fire has to do, so they're trying to get a big lane advantage and transition to make up for their weak team fights in the mid game, and it just didn't quite work out, and now we're seeing the product of that. They don't have as much farm as their opponents. They're more cooldown based. Their ganks are harder to execute, and now they're just put in a kind of a weird spot. So they still have very good late game in the late game. Medusa Ultimate is great in team fights. If your opponents are running at you, they basically have to disengage, but half the time they're fighting somewhere where Medusa is not the focus of the fight, and that makes it very difficult.
Yeah, the question is, are we even going to be able to get to the late game? Winter Wyvern is a pretty decent hero for turtling around. One of the few supports similar to Keeper of the Light who could just spam out abilities, but in CDC, they have, I would say, probably one of the better high ground pushers with that Sniper, being able to sit way in the back lines and chip away at the tier 3 tower without blink initiators, which is something that Fire's probably going to be lacking here with only the Nyx Assassin really close. Question whether or not they're going to be able to put a stop to him.
So far, the Nyx has not really done that much, I feel. He's been missing a lot of crucial Spike Carapace opportunities as well. Hasn't Spike Carapace things like Shuriken Toss and Sonic Wave and things like that. We just haven't seen value out of this hero. He sat top lane for so early. Maybe he should have ganked earlier. It's hard to say, but his team was already kind of on the back foot at the point when he was supposed to start partying.
Yeah, seeing as like Nyx Assassin is not a hero that's going to be able to scale, like he does do better with the Aghanims, but he was a safe lane farmer, right? He was getting the most farming time out of anybody on the team. He had to do so much in the early to mid game, and we really aren't seeing that yet, as most of CDEC have been able to just out-farm him. Seeing Orchid's going to be finished up by Aggressive.
That's really early, but that's pretty typical for CDEC. They did a lot of Queen of Pains for him, even in the safe lane. So he's going to be doing the same thing. Heroes he's going to aim for, definitely Winter Wyvern is a really easy kill. Nyx Assassin as well, if he can catch him first and Orchid him, then it's a kill 100%. So for now, CDEC pressures the mid lane. They set all of their other ganking heroes in the jungle, and look at Fire right now. What are they going to farm? The Radiant Ancients and the Dire Large Camp, that's pretty much all they can do right now. They don't have a lot of places that they can be, and CDEC is controlling the map perfectly right now.
Oh, this is going to be rough. This Queen of Pain's going to come in, has the Orchid. If he can actually catch Moo before the Scorched Earth, this has got to be a kill. Leads it off. There it is. The Orchid, no Scorched Earth. Quick TP out. Aggressive throws out the Sonic Wave, and that'll be enough damage. Moo dies nonetheless.
Shiki TPing for everything here.
Yeah.
It's paying off, and he is going the full mobility build, not just Mask of Madness, but also the Sanjin Yasha afterwards. He's going to be so fast and hard for Fire to catch. The one good hero that they have for range is, again, maybe Doombringer, Nyx Assassin, but they still need Blink Daggers. Doom is very far away from that. Possibly building, I guess he's going Vlad's after Midas, I guess. That's what it looks like. And no blink yet on Nyx Assassin, 1,500 gold for him. Fluff and Stuff's level of Reality Rift is not super long either, so it's a very tough game for them.
So our Nyx Assassin up too. Looks like he's going to spend some time trying to farm that Blink Dagger, but I keep looking back to him over the last 2 or 3 minutes. He's only progressing like 300 gold, so I think he's just kind of lost at what he needs to do here. Does he continue to look for those ganks, or does he take the couple of minutes to finish up that Blink Dagger and maybe have a bit better chance at initiating these team fights? All the meanwhile, CDEC are just setting up with lots of tracks. In fact, the Bounty Hunter has already completed the mech, it looks like.
That's really early. He's been doing a great job. I think one thing that Archon can do to try to get back in this game is smoke ganks are always an option, but the hard part is that when there's a bounty around on the map, you have to worry about it breaking, so you also have to have dust set up, and you also have to have catch. You need somebody that can jump forward and catch him, so they would probably have to smoke with at least Nyx Chaos Knight +1. They would need, those 2 heroes don't have super high damage. They would need a 3rd hero to do the gank, which may just be not something they can bother to do. So maybe they feel more comfortable aiming for team fights only, in which case it's going to take CDEC overextending. But I don't even think they have to force anything now. Their map control is so good. They can just farm their entire jungle and the entire Radiant jungle, and they're just going to get more and more GPM and just gank with 1 hero at a time. Queen of Pain alone can kill just about anyone here on Archon. So
yeah, in these sort of situations, this is the best thing the Bounty Hunter can do, right? Is he operates as like a mobile ward that's trying to track people up constantly, and then everyone else can farm as long as he knows where the rest or where most of Fire are at and where the movement's like. Oh,
they saw his
yeah, he's caught. So
1 stun, 2 stuns.
That'll be a great pickoff for Fire. The start. Oh, hookshot actually misses there. CDEC, we're going to try and force that one. I'm not sure if that's entirely necessary, but I guess a good choke point in the Sonic Wave would pretty much single-handedly win it for CDEC.
Yeah, I guess that would have been really good. And Shiki was to the right side. He had a good choke point above the stairs with Sanjin Yasha, so he's running at 520 movement speed when he pops his face. He's a little fast. Really scary now for Archon. Oh, they smoke up. They want to
but
fight.
he's going to be caught here. Runs the other direction, but the Chaos Bolt runs him down. 4 seconds for Jayon Whitebeard to just right-click him down. They even throw out the Doom just to make sure he does die. And that's going to be a make-kill streak going to Jayo. So hopefully this Medusa will start speeding up her farm a bit more, and you could see the prevalence of the Medusa. It's usually a long wait until she becomes a big factor in team fights, but I think that's been shortened up over the last few patches.
Did you see all those numbers when Sniper died? There were so many. Everybody got like 300 gold apiece with that kill, and that's going to transition them to a couple more items. Is that a blink on Nyx? It is. Blink is ready for him, and this is really going to be the big game changer.
I think they need a gem, right? So the Nyx Assassin just runs around, vendetted up, and oh, they actually had counter ward there, but it faded, and they have no counter vision.
That's rough.
Oh no, that could have been a free pick off on the Bounty Hunter, who level 8, that bumps the Nyx Assassin a bit closer to that level 2 Vendetta.
Gem is the solution, but it's very expensive for them right now. The other solution that you can do early game is just smoke and then carry dust. Once it breaks, boom, pop the dust. You've got them. But spending a dust or a smoke every single time for that, just for a hard 5 position Bounty Hunter, it's not worth it at all. It really isn't. Like, him dying top lane was not that big of a deal because he's still giving vision. He's still making his opponents scared. Luckily, they were able to leverage that to turn it into a sniper kill afterwards, and that makes it worth it. But if they have to cast a smoke every single time they kill Bounty, it's not going to end up being useful. He's happy to trade a smoke for his life at this stage of the game.
I mean, really, if CDEC wanted to, they could have just sat back as 4 heroes and farmed up their own jungle and just played passively into the Bounty Hunter, kind of regain that map control. CDEC are actually sitting on their side of the map right now, taking Roshan. And that'll be an Aegis for the Sniper alongside the SNY he picked up.
Now, even harder to kill him. They could doom him, but he's still going to run really fast, and he's going to respawn, and there's the smoke used. So looking for a kill. They are going to find a Rubik.
Yeah, nice free pick off there. Q. Nothing he can really steal there to stop that one.
Not amazing, but okay. It's not terrible. A couple more sentries purchased for them, things like that. They can maybe turn this into another kill similar as before, but without... Surely they're out of smokes at this point. We've seen the smoke somewhere. 40 seconds to go until they get their next smoke, so...
At the very least, they've given themselves, like, essentially 1 minute's worth of farming time before CDEC can 5-man and push down a tower, which I'm presuming they're going to do, right? Do you feel like CDEC are in a place where they can really start forcing 5-man team fights?
It gets hard now. I think that's a dangerous thing to do because, again, they have so many good team fight heroes. They've got Medusa. If they overextend and Medusa pops her ult, then everybody on CDEC slows down, and that could just supercharge Archon's lineup. They've got Doombringer, who's got a Vlad's now. He's going to transition to another. Does he have a blink or something? No, it's just an overcloak. So I guess he's rushing BKB. Probably not going to be an Ags rush, I would assume.
Yeah.
What do you think? I feel like the blink first is usually what you get, but he's behind, so maybe he feels like he should just get BKB, turn on Scorched Earth, and run at people. This may be the new way to play him.
At the same time, I'm a little bit concerned that, do we have the Clockwork? I mean, he has a Blade Mail. I guess that gives a little bit more incentive to the BKB, but I was just a bit concerned between the pure damage of the Queen of Pain and the jump in. They're going to try and pop him, and they are successful. Winter Wyvern goes down, and XZ makes himself a nice little home there underneath that tier 2 tower.
Wish his name was XD. People could just meme about that for days.
Well, don't stop Twitch chat. I'll always find something to meme about.
Yeah, that's true. So with those last couple of ganks, though, I really feel like Archon got themselves back in the game a little bit. Wow, look at that Blade Mail effect. Does JO care? Nope. No, he really doesn't. He's got an ultimate orb. That means he's getting relatively close to Scotty. Only about 3,000 gold away. 1 or 2 team fights, he could have the Scotty picked up, and that's where Medusa gets really scary for their opponents. Because if you look at CDEC's lineup, their main DPS heroes is pretty much just Sniper. Like, yeah, Quap can maybe buy a damage item or something like that, but if Archon wins a team fight or 2, they will be in a position where they could take this game away from CDEC, despite the huge advantage that CDEC had. So they have to be careful. These team fights that they're thinking about taking, they have to be so careful about them.
Ooh, that's a nasty spell to steal, potentially. Q actually picked up Mystic Snake.
Especially against Chaos Knight. If he's got like a bunch
of illusions,
it'll just boom, bounce, bounce, bounce.
11-18. Shiki start chipping away at that tier 2 tower, and Fire really don't have the initiation to stop this. The Vendetta's going to come forward. 747 can actually run himself into the Shrapnel and pop Spike Carapace and maybe then jump on Shiki, but
that's not the hero they want to go on. That guy's got to
this,
man. It's got to be Quap first, I think. Either Quap or maybe Bounty Hunter. But
Aggressive seems to know that.
He does have it, actually.
Completing the Lincolns, I think, was such a smart choice. I was expecting BKB's initiation. They're going to get Q here. They're going to get Shiki as well. Slow down with Spike Carapace. Bounce to the Mystic Snake. Does land so much damage, but still he has that Aegis. So instead, they're going to turn on to Gardner, who they've caught Fluff and stuff. Lays down the counter ward and catches him with the ultimate and the Reality Rift stun.
He actually hits really hard with his illusions. I mean, they do 100% of his base damage, so it's like a triple damage for a support, and it makes it difficult to deal with him as well. He's got a drum picked up, so he's going to give his team attack speed and stuff like that. We could see Fluff potentially shift. Like, he can actually solo kill supports as a support. That's very rare for a lot of support heroes, but his DPS is actually very high. It's not based on magic, really. It's more his ulti cooldown. I could see him doing a lot as he transitions into the mid to late game. This list is looking decent for Archon, despite Aggressive doing so well on Queen of Pain.
CDEC have reclaimed that 10,000 gold lead, but still. Looks like XZ is about to finish up his Aghanim Scepter. We obviously saw the Lincolns for the Queen of Pain. Where does our Sniper go from here?
Scotty?
Yeah, easy. I was thinking double down on stat.
We're back to 6.84, man. Well, actually 6.83.
6.83,
yeah. The old SNY Scotty on any agility hero. It's the best build to go by far. The items stack so well. You can get Scotty with lifesteal. It gives you 750 HP, which covers you against pretty much all things, whether that's physical or magic damage. And just having both an SNY and the Scotty slow just means that your opponents don't do anything. If you're far away, they're not going anywhere, and there's nothing you can really do about it. It's just the natural progression. It's just, I love getting Deso on Sniper, for example, but like, you just want the Mask of Madness, and you want the Scotty slow, and you can't
get this up. Jo runs right into that 4-man smoke gank with the Orchid, and the extra damage. They should have enough to burst through Jo. They actually get off the ultimate there for the Winter Wyvern. That may turn things as Jo cold and braced up as well. A little bit of extra magic damage. The right clicks finally finish him off. Attempt to save Jo's life is not successful, and now a little bit more damage as Queen of Pain pursues. but they don't actually pop the Assassinate. No reason to. They got the pick off on the Medusa, and now they'll bulk up for the tier 2 tower at bottom lane, most likely.
That hero was tanky. Yeah. That was insane how much damage he took. Quap ult and everything. And he also does have an ultimate orb on the courier, so he's a mere 1,200 gold away from Scotty, which means his int's going to jump up a bit more, his mana pool as well, and it's going to take even more damage than what we just saw to kill him. Mu is rushing Aghanim Scepter, by the way. He is just opting. He's going to just go for the Doom and run.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like this just because of the fact that I felt like the physical damage threat of the sniper plus the pure damage of the Sonic Wave kind of mitigates the BKB. Feels like it's not going to be as strong.
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, Sniper does make BKB. Okay.
Okay. I felt like he was really just going to double down on stats. I was with you there.
It makes him essentially, he doesn't have to worry about Chaos Knight solo killing him. Yeah. That's one thing. That's really important. Doesn't have to worry about that stun. Doesn't have to worry about Nyx Assassin getting on top of him. Obviously, he doesn't do anything against Ags, really, except for the whole 190 HP, but definitely helps him not die. He's really not going to have to worry as much, especially with Aegis gone.
I guess in a way, BKB is kind of one of those items when you are this far ahead, just kind of ensures that you don't feed away those killing sprees that you've racked up. Hookshot does actually miss, and Doom will be able to escape because of that.
I'm really surprised they didn't hit, but it's a level 2 and everything. And he's got Ags, so not a big loss there. Yeah. CDEC won't be too unhappy with that one. Archon just has to continue turtling, though. Ever closer to the Scotty, and once they get it, things get even scarier for them. CDEC, that is.
Yeah, let's include the fact that we could be seeing another Aghanim's Nyx Assassin is going to go for his as well, and that's a great turtling hero once you actually complete the Ags.
Oh
no!
On TP.
He gets spotted out by that one. He thought he was just going to be able to TP out, and then thought secondary of it. Thought, oh no, I'm just going to be hit by a hook shot. So instead, he blinks himself away. And Vendetta's out, and looks like he will get away. There is no gem on CDEC yet.
So. Yeah, it looks like the path he's taking back is going to work. No gem yet, just like you said. Oh, there's a split shot on Rubik. He's going to farm so fast. Watch out, guys.
Oh, that's about as good as the flat cannon pickup on Rubik.
Yeah, that one's arguably more fun. I would definitely say more fun. Although I do like that arrow sound. It's like...
Yeah. All right, so BKB actually... Do you feel like, in a way, that Aggressive is perhaps playing too defensively with his item builds, where we could have seen like a secondary right-click hero when we see like Queen of Pain's build on the AC kind of style?
It's kind of time to get a BKB. It's the same problem. Nyx Assassin is just so good at killing heroes.
Yeah.
Like, he actually doesn't have 4 levels of mana burn. A little surprising here. He's going to try to get 747, but there's 2 heroes.
Yeah, if only Fluff had maybe been able to respond faster.
It's tough. Chaos Knight's animations are awful.
Yeah, they really are.
Nyx Assassin is just too much of a threat. If Nyx Assassin did actually get 4 levels of mana burn, which I feel like maybe was... He's opted for more Spike Carapace because I think they're like, I'm behind. I need to make sure that we get guaranteed stuns on our opponents. Stuns are going to win us the game more than mana burns. So, but if he does have 4 mana burns and Quap is running into the fight with 100 mana, that's doing 400 damage every 4 seconds and draining his mana pool. So I feel like he grabbed the BKB. So he's like, I don't have to worry about Nyx Assassin just like burn stunning me and I die. Pretty much.
And again, this will make perhaps a little bit safer commitments uphill as well. These array of defensive items. At 30 minutes in, they are still holding about a 12,000 gold lead. They're probably waiting on the next Roshan, which is coming up in just a minute and a half. Meanwhile, Fire are taking the opportunity that's given to them. They're going to split push and try and take down this tier 1 tower in the top lane. I say split push, but really I mean 4 heroes behind Jay.
That was the TP of the mid lane, so surely they're going to smoke, I'm guessing. I don't see a smoke. Is it on the curve? It is. Yeah. Oh, and a gem as well. So no wards to destroy up there, but it's like Archon's in a good position. Of course, the Scotty is up on Medusa. He has a ridiculous amount of survivability. It's got to be close to something like the equivalent of 4,000 HP. He does get the last on the tower, and they're going to back off from that one.
Yeah, it seems like they're just a bit too late, unless Fire actually stick around. 747's immediately going to be gone on here as they have the gem to be able to reveal him, and he's gone. Now the question is, does that make enough space for Fire to get out cleanly from there? Looks like it. Hookshot not up just yet.
Jo might be in trouble here.
Yeah, he's coming in with a Vendetta. If Aggressive can actually slow him down, Q's going to be able to catch up long enough to get the telekinesis. He throws out the Vendetta hit, brings back Jo. He's so tanky, though, now with the silence. You're right, he's not going to be able to get off that ultimate. Still, though, they took away the Lincolns on Aggressive, and he immediately has to blank himself backwards because he knows what's coming next. That Winter's Curse is going to be put on him most primarily. Oh, Phantasm Steal. Q.
It's going to farm with that.
Oh, yeah.
He just gets all the best farming items, farming skills, man. Q just knows what he's doing.
He's just got to start getting some stat buffs. He'll be good to go.
I really felt like Medusa was going to die there. Like the whole team would jump on him, but it didn't do anything. He's like, oh, I'm going to lose 30% of my HP. It looks scary, but the Scotty is just it's just the best thing to rush on Medusa. The survivability gives you just insane. 25 and 250 mana. Man, not to mention the strength and agility and all that good stuff. So he'll just transition from item to item to item. And again, CDC, all these heroes that they bought BKBs on, yeah, great at team fighting, but they don't help you kill Medusa at all. Yeah. It doesn't improve your attack speed or anything like that.
That was a good read by you, but unfortunately there was also a green wave in the lane, so you had the line all set up.
The redemption hook on the creep is just a farm. It's actually a good farming skill, believe it or not.
Yeah, nice little AoE.
What does he get next? I feel like, how do you transition Clockwork into more damage? Like buy something stupid like a Radiance, or I don't know.
No, I think you probably just go from here to a little bit more utility. Like honestly, I wouldn't mind something like a Force Staff just to get better positioning for, like, if you're gonna hook shot in, say on the Dusa, and then you jump behind her, throw out the cogs, and then try and get yourself back up for another round of hook shot cogs. Like I think that the cog burn will actually be really effective.
Oh, that's
in some of these team fights.
Yeah, because it does 200 damage to Medusa. Not to mention it's also got a mana drainer.
Yeah.
So it's actually really doing something like 600 damage when you do the math. More than that even. It's like 650, 700 damage to Medusa if you keep draining. Really good point. That's definitely one good way to deal with Medusa. It's not everything that she has, but it will be something.
Yeah.
Positioning up with it is obviously very good.
Oh no, it looks like he's actually going to go for the Shiva's build instead. So getting a bit more team fight, a lot of late game luxury items. 747 blinks himself back immediately.
Misses hook
following
again.
the rocket, and they'll be able to get out.
They don't. Oh, they do actually. It's on Quap. They see him.
Oh, yeah. He's actually good at TP out, but XD
will
stop it with a hook shot. They've caught him. 747 is dead once again.
That's really unfortunate. If he knew what heroes were chasing him, he actually could have just TP'd as soon as the first hook missed, but his little juking there, it just resulted in him dying anyways.
Oh, Shiki's actually going to go for more damage. He actually picks up a Demon Edge instead of going and selling the Ring of Aquila for a Scotty build.
What do you prefer here? I feel like nobody's really got any evasion yet. We don't see a medallion, so there won't be a solar crest. Daedalus is by far the better damage item to get on carries, unless you're dealing with evasion, in which case MKB is better. So I would like to see him get a Daedalus here. But in the same vein, they still have to deal with Cold Embrace.
Yeah,
so,
and I think if you commit to the Daedalus, Medusa guaranteed is going to go for the Talisman of Evasion.
She will buy a Butterfly eventually. So maybe just like leading the way, like, all right, as soon as you get Butterfly, it's not going to matter because I'm already going to have an MKB. And then at least he can do magic damage procs through Cold Embrace, maybe get a hero kill if they're low. It's not an amazing item choice. I feel like CDEC keeps having to be pushed into these items that maybe aren't perfectly ideal for damage, but will give them team fight lead. And that's pretty consistently how Chinese teams usually play. They buy BKBs on like almost every team fight hero, where maybe more Western teams will shift towards damage amplifications or items that help you farm faster, and then eventually third, fourth item buy BKB if they can get away with it.
This is getting really dangerous. I mean, Doom is getting a lot of farm. He picked up that early Midas, and I feel like CDEC maybe haven't punished it just enough. We'll see in the next like 5 minutes.
16-minute early Midas. It was kind of late, but it's definitely paid off now. He's got all the items that he would normally have if he was playing a Doom. Maybe later than normal, but sitting at this position, he's very tanky. He's essentially got 2,500 HP when he uses Scorched Earth. He can Doom somebody. He's also got the War Stomp. If CDEC gets a little too grouped, this could go really, really well for Archon.
Yeah, I feel like CDEC, they've basically all-in on the next like 5 to 8 minutes. I'm not sure if they push like 10, 15 minutes farther, that they're going to be looking good solely because of the fact that everyone on fire is almost like kind of getting online in a way. Like the Doom with the Blink Dagger, I feel is like, all right, I'm here now. I can be a big factor in these team fights.
I think we need to see 747 just utilize his Axe really well. It's fantastic on the hero. It's been buffed again. The range on Impale ends up being like 900 or something.
Yeah, it's 75% really increase, so it's almost double the range.
It's so good for defending, and they already have Snake, and they already have Splinter Blast, and Chaos Knight can potentially grab people that are out of position. Not that Fluff is particularly farmed at this point. One of the other downsides is support Chaos Knight, or carry Chaos Knight even. He just doesn't farm that fast, really. Yeah. It's more about team fights and killing heroes and things. But they have to catch somebody, and getting more and more eggs will make them strong. Maelstrom, you like that? Maelstrom is... I don't know if I like it this game. Why do you think he went for Maelstrom? Like, it does magic damage. Rubik's passive will resist it a little bit. They'll have Glimmer Capes and stuff.
I think maybe he just felt like, okay, I can't go for the Butterfly, but I do need attack speed, right? Because you already have the MKB on the Sniper. So This also does help clear out creep waves a little bit faster, which is obviously your biggest problem with these uphill pushes. If you can take out the creep wave real quickly.
You could also argue that the Finnish Mjolnir is really good too, because he's going to have Cold Embrace, so he'll have, once he gets Cold Embrace, if he takes any ticks of magic damage, like Quap for example, every dagger tick will give him a chance to reflect magic damage to Quap.
Yeah.
And if they don't get a Diffusal Blade or a debuff or something like that, then they can't remove that. I think the value's in the Mjolnir, not so much the Maelstrom.
Yeah, okay, that's actually a good point.
Because if you get this many stats, which he has gone heavy stats, it was all early game stats, so it's not that big of a commitment, but if you go the heavy stats build, usually you're like Manta, Butterfly, Scotty. Those are your three items that make your illusions actually do incredible damage. So I guess he's aiming more for, I'm going to have a ton of HP, and I'm going to just reflect a lot of magic damage to you guys in an AoE.
Oh, shot blocked out by the Queen of Pain illusions. XC's not having a fantastic time.
That was Aggressive's fault. He happened to pop the illusions at the exact same time the hook came out. That one, I don't blame you for that one there.
Yeah. So if we're looking at the other side, like what else would Medusa get? It would be the Manta, right? Why do you think?
I think Manta's great.
Yeah. Why do you think that the Manta isn't the choice here for JO? Because I'm looking at him going like, okay, you would actually have the ability to like throw your illusions down a lane and split push a little bit more.
I would say it's kind of bad versus Sniper, because he can very easily, like your illusions are going to be slowed because there's going to be shrapnel down. He can walk away, like it's not like your attack range is that amazingly far. So maybe he's saying like, I'm not going to probably get that close to Sniper. At least I can maybe reflect damage using Mjolnir, because it sends it back to the source, I believe. So even if like a ult hits you or something like that, it'll zap somebody around where the A is standing, is how it functions, I believe. It might have an ultimate range, but like it might only go so far. But
yeah,
so maybe that's the idea. It's like Sniper's going to be so far away, my illusions aren't going to attack him anyways, so.
All right, thankfully Archon don't go on the Queen of Pain illusions, but his 5-man smoke doesn't look like it's going to pay out. CDEC, they do have some very aggressive vision. They're seeing the side lanes are a little bit pushed out, and there's just no one on the map. So
Fluff got a TP. It's Shiki's. It's a 75 gold swing.
All right,
huge advantage going to Fluff.
There we go. Support getting some farm. All right, JO's just going to TP it out. Archon kind of missed their opportunity, I guess. Good read by CDEC. Another 900 gold, they'll have that Aghanim Scepter. They're just going to start clearing through the aggressive vision laid down by Archon during that push out. The AC is now the next item for the Queen of Pain, so you still see that incoming right-click build.
I like that. It's a nice transition. If your opponents do have a lot of physical damage, it's a must as Queen of Pain. It's hard sometimes to buy that over a Shiva's Guard, but sometimes you just need to do it. Ooh, he barely gets away.
Oh, he is actually going to be jumped here. See, he still had the silence on him. Wasn't able to stop that assassinate, nor the hook shot. Damage comes in. And free pick-off.
I thought for sure he was going to spike Carapace. Surely he saw the assassinate coming.
I think the Orchid. He had an Orchid on him.
Okay, so maybe he was about to, but he got Orchided just in time. Something like that. He just keeps getting picked off. I mean, even going for that catapult kill, was that really... Like, yeah, you're very close to Ags and all, but... And yeah, he saw the queen very late, so maybe he just said, okay, she probably doesn't know I'm here, because otherwise she would have orchided me, maybe I can get out. But the hook shots are just really punishing him. And the Orchid as well, he just continuously dies. Maybe not continuously, but this Ag should really come a lot earlier than this. Obviously, they've been very, very limited on the map, but if the game would have gone better, this would have come out a lot faster. So I think he's definitely the one that's underperforming right now on the team. They needed him to do better, and he really hasn't made a whole lot of space, but part of it is the circumstances.
Yeah. I have to say I'm impressed with the way that CDEC, like I was a big concern that maybe they were just like letting this game stall out too much, but they're controlling the map so well that they're getting such a big farm lead that it doesn't really matter so much, how late into the game. Obviously, we were talking about like 30, 40 minutes from now, yeah, it might be an issue, but, pushing this to 50, 55 minutes, but growing a gold lead that's sitting at, 30K lead or something like that before you push uphill, it doesn't really matter if it is late game when you have that big of a net worth advantage.
Yeah, and the lead right now is somewhere around 40% gold advantage, which is massive. It's a 20K advantage, 45 versus about 60 or so. So it's a very, very big advantage for CDEC. Like you said, they are getting killed sometimes, but they are transitioning their gold lead into more and more, and I feel like they're dodging fights, but they're also clamping down on farming that Archon is aiming to do. So they are definitely playing this game very well.
All right, so the next Roshan It's probably the time that CDEC push uphill, which is up in another 10 seconds. And I think Archon, you know, they know this timing. They can't afford to let that next Aegis and Cheese go into the hands of CDEC for free. So they're going to go for this 5-man smoke. And if they catch the right hero, it'll be a perfect opening. Shiki's actually already made a little bit of distance away. They're going to try and slow him down with the Winter's Curse. They catch him, but he got off the BKB. The Doom goes down on him as well. They'll burst down the Rubik nice and quick. And Shiki will be run down. This is a huge pickup for Archon.
Buyback from Rubik, he died almost instantly there. So a little bit less gold for him. All he's got is a Glimmer Cape and a couple stat items. Again, once again, Archon's going to be happy with that. But I think they've got to be. Surely without smokes this time, right? All right, 5 minutes to go. They just used 2 in a row, essentially. They kill the sniper. They kill the Rubik with the buyback. It's all right. And that's basically been the story of the game for Archon.
Yeah.
You guys are doing all right. You're doing better. You're not losing the game. You're kind of coming back, but not enough to super win it. CDC has very good dedication. They're like, all right, the fight's over. He got Winter's Curse. He got doomed. Fight's over. They might get a tower, though. That's going to be good.
Yeah, tier 1 tower, plus they have the Aghanims now finished up in the Nyx Assassin. Excited to see that one in play. They're going to get the Telekinesis Orchid with a double damage on Aggressive, but it just doesn't seem to matter. Jao's still going to be able to tank up through all of that, and they're just going to TP him out. Fluff and Stuff's going to try and get out, but a Shuriken will put a stop to that real quick. They keep their tier 1 tower alive. Another track kill even as they waited out for the cooldown. Aggressive looks for more, but won't be finding anything.
Yeah, no kills for them there, but they defended Medusa. It's not the biggest loss ever. And Medusa's now sitting at about 1,400 gold. So next item after Mjolnir, I'm not quite sure, because then now your items don't really stack super efficiently. Like Mjolnir, for example, does nothing for a hypothetical Manta. But he could go a lot of different ways. He could build Manta style. He could go Butterfly. I doubt he'll go Butterfly, though, just because the MKB's already up, and that's really the only thing you're aiming to stop is...
Right.
I guess you stop some Quap damage at this point because he has AC, but the main thing you're aiming to do is more damage from here on out. So it could be... I feel like Manta's still the way to go. It's just going to do so much AoE damage, and it does give you a moderate amount of stats, so... Although he could also just go like MKB or Daedalus on his own. It's an option.
And then Destroy, and maybe, might be helpful. Shadow Strike, Track, those sort of things.
Oh, did you say Lincoln's?
No. It's just the Manta. Popping the Manta active.
I would definitely go Manta over Lincoln's as well. Like the 4-second track cooldown, that's not worth it. Spend 5,000 on a Lincoln's, it gives you mediocre stats.
Yeah.
Tickles.
Track. Jo just takes no damage whatsoever.
Ooh, the Axe is up.
Yeah. Do you feel like the situation was dire enough for Fire that they should have maybe tried to go for Roshan and like force a buyback out of the snipe? Ooh, hook shot, jump in, moo. He will just barely be able to get out of that one, just ahead of the cogs. Ooh.
That was a scary one.
So close.
I thought the battery cell was going to catch him.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not going to make it, cog it. Didn't catch him. I'm sorry, what was the question you asked before that?
Do you think, when Fire found those 2 different heroes, do you think the situation was dire enough that they should have gone for Roshan, or do you think this is fine, that they've gotten just enough farm that they'll be able to turtle through and Aegis and Cheese pick up for CDEC?
Oh, that would have been suicidal, man. They have both their mid and their offlane towers still up. When those things are up, your opponents can immediately... cover each other. You die, you buy back, and boom, you're back. Yeah, exactly. So it's too hard to deal with that. Oh, I love this. He's just standing in the shrapnel. See the damage zip out occasionally. Nothing really yet. Maybe it doesn't jump that far anymore. They might have nerfed it. But they've nerfed this item a couple times in the last year, so I can't accept it.
Yeah, I think when Mjolnir was super popular, they changed the range.
Yeah, 900 radius it looks like. Although I don't remember if that's the radius of the person casting or dealing the damage or...
Nyx Assassin is...
just playing in the dirt.
Yeah, he's going to need to be a little bit more on the front lines. Again, Shiki actually gets a good spike carapace, 2-man stun, and the bounce of a lot of his AoE damage is going to threaten Shiki. They get the hook shot onto 747, they commit for that kill, and everyone from CDEC will stay alive. Nyx Assassin, though, does not have a buyback. They try and go for the Doom onto Aggressive. They get him, but do they actually have enough damage to finish him off? Moose just going to get torn apart by the right clicks. Now Winter's Curse on a Shiki. That's a good setup if they can actually finish him off and take away that Aegis, but don't quite get it just yet. Now he's sitting on the back line, still dealing damage to Jail. They turned around the Doom onto him thanks to a great play from Q, and Fluff and Stuff finally managed to finish off that Aegis, but as Sniper comes back, he's going to slow down Fluff and Stuff to be able to get that extra kill. 3 heroes down on the side of Archon, and they're going to be forcing some buybacks. Unfortunately, their Nyx Assassin doesn't have one just yet. It's only Chaos Knight and the Medusa. And they have no ultimates now. No Winter's Curse, no Doom.
That was just not the ideal fight. They need things to go a little bit better. Hookshot comes back in, though.
Shivas, and they're just going to try and address Jo immediately, though. Oh, Sonic Wave just wipes out the Doom, and Jo's left with nothing. After all that damage, will be going down as well with no buyback. It looks like this is the end for Archon as CDEC pushed forward and managed to take out every single one of the heroes of Archon, some of them twice in a row. just take over the base.
That's at least one Rax, most likely just the end of the game because they just all bought back. So nothing they can do to respond to that one. They had a great attempt there, just trying to stay alive for as long as possible, but the fight just didn't quite go perfectly for them, and it results in them they end up losing the game.
Yeah, never really should have doubted CDE's control of the map, just making sure that Archon were never really able to get that much farm out of the situation. Basically corralled inside of their base the whole entire time, just got a gigantic net worth lead, and then finally made that critical push uphill with the Aegis and Cheese combo.
I wonder how different the game would have been if they just got a couple more of those early roams, if they would have been effective, or maybe they would have killed Sniper before he killed any of the support heroes, things like that. What if he didn't get that headshot? It's a 40% chance. It's pretty high, but what if he missed that one? It could have been him just dying. Fluff gets an extra level, maybe that turns his ganks into something else, who knows, but they end up losing the game. I'm excited to see how game 2 goes. Interesting picks, but maybe a little too greedy out of Archon.
Do you feel like drafting was a bit of the downfall here for Archon?
I kind of feel like that. I don't really feel that they were tilting. I think they really were just trying to force fights because they said, we've got offlane Doombringer who's going to buy a Midas. Like, we need to have a good early game, get some map control and advantage, and CDEC just had the better and much easier to execute draft by far. So I think that was a big impact.
All right, well, let's see what the boys on the analyst desk have to say about that. Alpha Draft Analyst Desk up next.
Thank you very much, Cap. So in the wake of Game 1, CDEC, of course, taking the match. Interesting draft from Team Archon. In the end, it didn't quite work out. Malcolm, what are your initial reactions here seeing that game?
I saw that after footage of the teams and their reactions. It looked as if CDEC was a lot more tense and dissatisfied than Archon. Like, Archon seemed pretty relaxed, laid back and everything. And then CDEC, Q sitting there, sort of looking angry and telling the others, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. Because I'm fluent in Chinese.
It got a little bit rocky. They were really far ahead early on, but mid-game, they just couldn't close it. I mean, there was a moment where it seemed like if Archon turtled long enough, this Medusa could actually be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, they just couldn't kill her. They couldn't push high ground, but I think the gap was too wide. I think, obviously, the track gold helped with that, and CDEC, honestly, just had too big of a lead at one point. The gem definitely helped out a lot. As soon as they got that gem and 747 couldn't walk around, it became a problem.
So this is one of the many failed ganks that Archon had in the early game, and this fight, they don't actually kill Shiki. They were split in their damage, a few on Carter, a few on Shiki, and we see a couple heroes die at this particular juncture in the game, and Sniper isn't particularly strong in the early game. He's like decent in lane, but when he's ganked, you can just drop a shrapnel and run. He doesn't have that much HP, so you'd think he would die a lot more. Maybe that's what they had in mind with the CK. He has a lot of HP, he has a lot of armor, he can tower dive, but it didn't really work out for them.
Right from the get-go, you could just tell that they had this one idea of how CK would just dominate this Sniper, but every time Sniper took a kill on CK in return before he even died himself, so it was never really that much worth it, especially because there was someone from CDEC in on the middle lane to take over the experience while Sniper was gone. So they didn't get anything out of it, basically.
And once we saw that it was a position 4 CK, my initial thought was, well, why not a Sven? Because we've seen the position 4 Sven, usually with poor results, but it just seems like he brings more to the table than a Chaos
Well,
Knight.
CK has had some interesting buffs. I just feel like they should have just played it as a core.
Yeah.
At one point, like when you have the Nyx and the Doombringer, I understand that you've committed too much and you get way too greedy. And a Nyx Assassin it's not good to roam with.
Yeah.
Like hitting Impale on a level 1 Nyx Assassin is a lot harder than with a CK.
Yeah, and there was a point where the Nyx was the only one that was getting farm in the early game when it seems like, well, you've got these other hard carries that could really almost benefit from this early momentum. Now, on the side of CDEC, did they look as strong as y'all thought they would? For those of you that thought they would come out really looking good.
Queen of Pain, like aggressive. Ever as good as he was at TI. I think the rest of the lineup a bit more shaky. I thought Rubik played pretty well throughout.
What do you think, Merlini? Do you concur?
Yeah, it's about the same as I thought from Milk, especially with that sort of draft. And CDC finally trying to breach the high ground. I think Shiki has an Aegis, and that's one of the keys when pushing against a Doombringer. And they always get someone really quick off the bat with the Orchid.
Yeah.
And the first pick, Winter Wyvern, we were talking about that, but after looking at their lineup, it's like, okay, we know why they first picked it, because they have nothing else they can really first pick. And it looks like they're about to turn around the fight at this point. But Jo dies, buys back, and then ends up dying again.
Yeah, and Shiki just barely lives through most of the fight, actually, doing huge damage. Finally gets the Aegis procced, and yeah, it's just all downhill from there. And even though CDEC had trouble closing the game for so long, they still had map control. It was Roshan after Roshan. Aegis Cheese makes those high ground sieges so much easier.
Jo just died a lot faster than I would have expected a Medusa to do. I don't know if did he get Mana Shield off second time around when he bought back?
It stays on. I'm pretty sure. It stays on after Aegis. I mean, he could have just easily TP'd back, but he did die a decent amount, but he went Scotty first, so he wasn't doing that much damage even if he were alive the whole entire time. But at the same time, it just seemed a little bit too greedy. Like, you need Nyx, who needs levels. He needs level 6, and probably, like, eventually a Scepter. And then you need Doom, who had a Midas, and you need Medusa. Like, there wasn't really that much to do early game. And Chaos Knight, he's okay at roaming, but his mana cost on his spells are ridiculous. Like 140, and he doesn't have any good value points. He needs points in his first 2 abilities all the way. So I kind of like the concept. Maybe if they had a second roamer that was as effective, but the Winter Wyvern didn't really seem to do that much for their lineup at all.
Yeah, I do think though, like if the fight had gone, if they hadn't lost that team fight outside their base, as we just saw in the replay, I think they could have just gotten one more item up on Doombringer and one more item up on the Medusa, and the game would have probably looked different.
It's hard for them to get to the sniper, though. Like, you ideally want to Doom probably him at that point in the game, like super late in the game, and they just can't approach him.
They were killing him a couple of times. They had Winter's Curses on him. They had Dooms on him. They were doing an effective job of shutting him down. I just think the gap was too big, and I don't know. It just seemed like they kind of lost that advantage, you know, maybe jumping in. They just didn't have enough at that point in time. Like you said, if maybe they had another item or two, they might be able to do something, but it was just the gap was too wide at that point.
Okay, very good. So with that, let's check in on the Alpha Draft leaderboard for those that are playing Fantasy at home and see how the players are performing. And here we go. The top 5 so far in the event: Weeha, Eternal Envy, Puppy, Pylai Dai, and Mushi. Pylai Dai, the one that really stands out to me with so many fantasy points.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, I expected it from Poppy after that Venomancer game, but Pylai Dai, impressive.
Generally known as the sacrificial reports and supports, rather. Not one that I would normally put in my fantasy draft, but there you go.
It's early in the day, though. A lot of things can happen still.
That's true. It's only 1.5 series down. So, what are you thinking, Mott? Can Archon bring this back?
You said 1.5 and not 1 1/3.
Such a stickler. Always a stickler.
I agree with him.
I agree with him too. I'm just pointing it out.
So, any thoughts? Can Archon bring this back, Mott?
They just need to not draft silly lineups. I don't know about the CK. I don't know about the first pick Winter Wyvern. Maybe that was okay. Get Whitebeard something he could play like a Disruptor or something. But other than that, I don't know.
Or something. Can you elaborate?
I mean, Disruptor seems to be his go-to. I don't know. He's played Undying before as well. I mean, they just need to get him something he's comfortable on, because he was level 3 on that Winter Wyvern for like such a long time.
Yep.
And that was, I think, the biggest issue. It was just the support play coming out. The CK didn't really work out for them. I applaud them for trying it, but, you know, maybe pick up something a bit more standard next time.
All right, well, we'll see if they take heed to that advice. So with that, folks, we're going to have another break. We've got an interview by Zoe with Hani to talk about 6.85 before Game 2 gets underway.
I'm now joined by Kai, also known as Hani. Thanks a lot for joining me for a quick word. Now, you're going to be on the Alpha Draft Analyst Desk this weekend. We're going to see you and hear you talking about the games. Now, give us some insight already with the current patch, with the new patch coming out. How do you think that will actually influence the drafts we're going to see this very weekend?
There was a few hero nerfs on the mid lane especially. Like, you have Leshrac now not being seen anymore in the mid lane because he just got too weak of his Lightning Storm is just not the ability to work with as the mid laner. And then you have Storm Spirit as well as a pretty good example. He was nerfed too much. Bloodstone got changed as well as his mana cost on the Ball Lightning. So you have kind of a change in meta there because it's 2 major impact first ban heroes or first pick heroes that you will likely not see anymore in this tournament. Other than that, I think heroes such as Invoker, where I really hope to see that hero now in action. I think he has a buff which hasn't been experienced too much yet, such as the Aghanim's upgrade that he got, where he now has an extra level pretty much on all abilities, which could be a huge change. Same with Tinker. It's like the second of my favorite heroes to hopefully see in this event. I think it's both fun heroes to watch, and hopefully those heroes are a key factor maybe to this event, or at least to the future meta.
Well, I mean, I think you discussed that already backstage. We have players such as Wee and Sumail even, who play a pretty good Invoker, so we might see actually some Invoker being played. What do you think is going to be the most picked? I mean, Spectres seem to be like really favorable and like popular the last few days. Do you think that's going to be the case here in the tournament too, or is there anything else you think we're definitely going to see in most of those drafts?
I mean, Spectre for sure got 3 buffs with the last patch. It was the Heart got an upgrade, Manda got cheaper, and as well as I think Diffuser got slightly changed. I'm not sure, but I just know like it's been a hero that has been picked up at the very end of the previous patch, and now it's only received buffs, so it's not unexpected to see the heroes suddenly being picked up more often. And I was kind of with the recent game from Secret now that we've seen, I was a bit surprised with how they started the draft, but like you were mentioning, I think Spectre's for sure one of the heroes we'll see more often this event.
Now, looking at how the teams adjusted and how they're playing right now in terms of their performance, do you feel any of those teams struggle a little bit more with the changes and the current meta, or do you think they all are pretty well adjusted and prepared for this event?
I overall think that the changes nerf maybe a few players. Like for, I guess Sumail, you can argue if it changed his playstyle because he's been good on Lesh and Storm. It's key heroes, but I guess all mids are prepared for these kind of hero changes. Overall, I think the nerfs are flat. Like it is hero changes, but it's not like, oh my god, the meta has changed. You still see similar drafts throughout this patch, and I think it's just a way of adjusting on where you tweak a bit. Mid lane for sure got a nerf. Other lanes, I guess we'll see changes coming, but it's not as harsh.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the insight. I hope you have a great time there in this weekend. We can't wait to see you on the desk. Thank you.
Thank you.